Well, good day to you. It's October the 7th. I hope you're having a wonderful day wherever you are. My name is Gary Willing, and I want to welcome you to Search for Signs if you're new, and welcome you back if you have been here before. Now, if you didn't realize it, in the description portion of these videos, I have put links that take you to websites that I think give you really good background information about Maitreya and the Masters of Wisdom, about his priorities for humanity, like the need for peace, the need to end hunger, the need to bring about justice and help solve the environmental problem, just to name a few, but those are the biggies. And then some other things, in there too, the miracle signs and those kind of things and how they're all connected and all those kind of things. So those websites, I think, give you really good background information. So if you're listening to this video for the first time, or if you've heard it before and you want to know more, definitely check out those links. Now, you can also, I think, learn a lot by asking questions. And people post their questions in the comment section. A lot of times people will just comment. You can also email me at searchforsigns@mail.com if that's something you want to do. And I want to thank some people who were brave enough to comment and ask questions. Cliff Santajong, Timothy Tilton, Peaceful Energy, is it Harmy1? Thomas Lynch, Carson Lee, and Spirit Watcher 178. Everybody, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to do that. And I really appreciate it. Hopefully you can learn more about this incredible information based on what you are asking in your comments and so forth. Now, there are three people that talked about transmission meditation. And the reason they did is because in the last video, I talked a little bit about it. Now, you might know about it, you might not. Just to kind of give you a little bit of a background, it is a service meditation. So if you want to help the world and you don't know what to do or how to start even doing anything to help the world, it might be something that it would interest you. And I included the link to the Share International site, and you can go there and get a lot of information about it. So these people were asking questions. One person asked a question about it, and the other one just made a general comment, and I wanted to address his comment. So Peaceful Energy said, I want to help. I live in Toronto, and I want to find a group that does transmission meditation pronto. No, you didn't phrase it like that, but it would have been funny if you did. But what's not funny is the truth about this last part is it's not easy to find a group. And you're right, it isn't. It's way easier to talk to people who just say that they want to help the world, but they don't actually do anything about it. It's a lot harder to find people that actually want to do something, right? Now, I didn't know if you posted this comment because you weren't able to find on the Share International site how to get a hold of somebody. So I replied to your comment directly and listed out the steps or the hoops that you have to jump through just to get your information to somebody and let them know you're interested in doing transmission meditation and you live in Toronto. So I say it all the time that the Share International site, hands down, is the best website for information about Maitreya and the Masters of Wisdom, about his priorities, about transmission meditation even, but it is not the most functional or user-friendly site by far. So, if you are having a hard time getting a hold of somebody, Peaceful Energy, whoever you are or whoever you happen to be, and you still want to join a group in Toronto, get back with me, either via email or posting another comment, and I'll do my best to get a hold of somebody that might be able to help you out. Okay, so I'm not a part of the Share International group at the moment, but I do have connections with people in that group that might be able to help you if you can't get a hold of somebody by just giving feedback on the website, which is what they want you to do. But the other opportunity for you and everybody else is they do offer Zoom transmission meditations over the internet. And if you get a hold of somebody, maybe ask them about that too if you want to do that. If you can't find anybody in Toronto, it's better to do it in person with other people. But if you needed to do it and you wanted to do it in a group and there's nobody around, this could also be something that you could do. And they know the times and the days that these things are going on. So get in touch with them that way. And then lastly, I want to kind of throw this in here because this is something I think that can pertain to pretty much anything. If you're not familiar with it, it's really a miracle, and it's a gift that Maitreya has given those people who know about this information at this moment. But it's an image of his hand, and it's called the Hand of Maitrea, and you can actually go on the Share International site and see a photograph of it. Now, this particular miracle, according to Maitreya himself, he said it's the closest he can get to any one of us before he's known for who he is out in the world. And if you want to ask for help, this is the best way to do it. And he even said this himself, so I'm quoting him as best I possibly can in this regard. His help is there for you. All you have to do is ask. And Benjamin Creme said to be specific when asking for something. But here's the thing about that. You do not have to go to Barcelona and see this handprint on this woman's mirror. You only have to see an image of it, which is really kind of cool. Most of these other miracles, in order to receive any kind of energetic benefit like the crosses of light, you actually have to physically be in front of that pane of glass. You can't just look at a photograph and have the healing effect of it. So this thing is totally different. And like I said, it's really a gift for those people who know this information now and believe it on some level. And you just look at the hand and ask Maitreya for help. Now, I jokingly say, if you ask for the winning lottery numbers, he's not going to give it to you. Or if you, because I've tried, if you've asked for, if you ask him for maybe a fuller head of hair because you're bald like I am, it's probably not going to work either. But in all seriousness, I have asked Maitreya by looking at the hand of Maitreya for things in the past, and I've been amazed a lot of times how quickly it manifests and how literally it manifests based on how specific my request is. So, for instance, there's a video that I talk about this. It's one of the Maitreya experiences I had where he was helping me clean a building, and I didn't realize he helped me clean the building until way after. And this woman who was the one who actually saw Maitreya, who worked at this place, I was wanting to talk about this story in this YouTube, channel, and I could not remember her name. And I looked at the hand of Maitreya and I asked him for some help in remembering her name. The next day, she walked into where I worked, and it was in a very, very miles away from where I saw her, and even miles away from where she said she actually worked at that moment the day that I saw her. But she came in, and I was so excited to see her. I was like, oh my God, what's your name? She had no idea why I was so excited. It was because I just asked the hand of Maitreya for help, and it happened like that. And there have been other things that have happened, but the more specific I was, the quicker and the more literal the manifestation was. But something like this that's altruistic about service, you can't help but get help from him in that way. So anyway, like I said, I can't say it enough. It really is a powerful tool, and it's a gift that he's given those people who want to help the world, who believe in this on some level and might need his help at some point in time or whatever. So like you said, it's there. All you have to do is ask. Anyway, he's just not going to do it for you sometimes because it might be an infringement upon your free will if he does. So when you ask, it removes that infringement and he can help you. So anyway, just throwing that out there to you, peaceful energy. Now, Timothy Tilton, you asked a question that I don't really understand what you're asking. I'm going to try to answer it, but you said, when at a transmission session, do people talk about starting Maitreya's invitation process and how we have to make it happen? So I'm assuming you're asking, how do you do a transmission meditation? I mean, how do you get the whole thing to start? Is that what you're asking? Because if you're asking it in this way, it's very complicated in trying to understand what you're saying. So, and I don't mean to be critical. I'm just saying I don't know if that's what you're asking or not, I guess is my point. But it's a lot simpler than that. So if you go to the Share International site, if this is truly what you're asking, and I'm not misunderstanding what you're asking, Timothy, if you go to the Share International site and click on the link about transmission meditation, they talk about how to do it. It's very simple. It starts with the group reciting the Great Invocation. And if you don't know what the Great Invocation is, in the description portion of these videos, you scroll down past all the links that I put in there and you go to the very bottom, and I have it written out so you can read it. And it's a very powerful invocation. It's been said that Maitreya has said this very invocation in its original language, I think, because it's an ancient mantra from eons upon eons ago, and he says it every single day. And in the future, more and more people will look at it as a daily ritual that they will say, because it really is a way of helping to manifest the plan of God on earth, really, if you look at it. If you read it right, that's what it's doing. I mean, most people in the West don't know much about invocations. They only know about prayer, because that's kind of a Christian way of connecting with God or the universe or whatever. You pray, and even Maitreya has encouraged praying by saying, be at peace and remember to pray. So there's nothing wrong with praying. It's a very useful tool too, but you're asking the universe for something, right? Invocation is similar but different. It's still a connection with the universe, but you're more at cause, or at least have the causation with it because of the power of whatever invocation you're using. Now, most invocations, it's been said, if you say it incorrectly, it doesn't work. Or, even worse, in extreme cases, if you say it incorrectly, it can actually go bad on the person that said it. Now, rest assured, it's also been said that the great invocation can be said and get screwed up. Because I know I've messed up the lines all the time when I was saying it, right? And even to this day, I might be going, I'm like, did I just skip a stanza or something like this? Or a line or whatever like that. And according to Benjamin Creme, it's safe. It didn't go back on me and turn me into a toad or something like that. But it also, according to Benjamin Creme, still works just as well. So it's a very forgiving invocation in that regard. But you say the great invocation as a group, and then the difficulty is with transmission meditation is keeping your attention at the ajna center right between the eyebrows, because the vast, vast majority of us are what are called astrally polarized, where the seat of the emotions is the solar plexus, and that's where our natural consciousness goes. And so it takes practice over lifetimes, really, and a conscious effort to move your attention up to the mental planes, which is the next level up from the astral plane, or the next step for all of us, really, is what it amounts to. And this meditation helps the person to sustain that attention, that high attention, for a longer period of time. You also get the benefits of these tremendous spiritual energies flowing through the group and out into the world. And these masters are custodians of all kinds of energy that impact our planet in all sorts of ways. And they move it over here and send it over there and take it away from this place and move it. I mean, they're in control of these energies. And the purpose of transmission meditation is it helps it to step down just a little bit further to make it more accessible for humanity to use, or a group or a country or whatever to use. But the group itself doesn't direct the energies anywhere. You don't need to know about where the best place to send these energies. The masters do. The other thing, too, is it's completely safe to have these energies sent through all your chakras, because these masters are masters of energy, and they know how much you can handle and how much you can't. You might be able to handle more energy than the person sitting right next to you, or vice versa. So they'll send more or less or whatever based on who the person is. But it's a very simple meditation in that regard for the person. All you have to do is just try to keep your attention high. The problem is it's difficult to do that. That's the problem. But it is a service, and it's a benefit for humanity, and it's a benefit for the person. So anyway, but I do thank you, all three of you, for showing interest in transmission meditation and commenting about it. So, and if you have any other questions about transmission meditation, please feel free to ask, or go directly to the Share International site and read it for yourself and try to get the answer that way if you need to, and you don't want to ask me the question. Now, switching gears, Carson Lee asked a question on a different video. Do you believe in parallel incarnations? I think it can provide powerful, enlightening, and empathizing effects, because it makes you realize that hurting another is hurting yourself, helping and loving another is helping and loving yourself, and allows us to know and realize we're all in this together as one complete whole. So, the first part of this, the question, Benjamin Creme was asked this question about parallel incarnations, and they do happen. They're very rare, but they do happen. I don't think it's necessarily for the purpose that you're thinking, which is fine. You know, what you said was very beautiful in its way, but I think you're describing more of the law of cause and effect than anything else, really. Now, the law of cause and effect and reincarnation are really go hand in hand, so there's not like you're wrong in asking that question, right? But people, one thing that he did say, and this is one thing I remember him saying, is people imagine their twin souls or their soulmates to be in kind of a romantic way, right? Like once you find that person, you fall madly in love and never have to worry about another relationship again because you're going to be in love for the rest of your life and live out happily ever after. And he goes, that doesn't necessarily mean what it means. In fact, most of the time he says you might not even know of the other person, or they might incarnate at different times and all that kind of stuff. They might meet in that life but be of the same gender, and so they're not attracted to each other and all in that way. So, but he said that souls will every so often split off and have different experiences and experience incarnations differently but parallel, like you're saying. So I guess, yeah, I mean, I guess that's true. I have no personal experiences with this, but, anyway, maybe I do. Maybe my soulmate or my twin souls living in another part of the world. I don't know. But God, I'm sure there isn't another soul on this planet that wants to share a soul with this guy. Believe me, I'm just kidding. Just a little self-deprecating humor. But anyway, but the other part, in terms of, I think it can provide a powerful, enlightening, and empathizing effects because it makes you realize that hurting another is hurting yourself, helping and loving another is helping yourself, and allows you to know and realize we're all in this together in one complete whole. That really, I think, beautifully describes the law of cause and effect, because that's exactly what it does. And most people look at karma as there's nothing but bad karma, or karma is if you created negative karma for yourself, then that's a bad thing. It really isn't. It's neutral, actually. It's impartial. And so it doesn't matter who it is, who the person is, and how nice a person you are. You harm somebody, you're going to have to deal with it and work through it and experience the exact amount of pain and suffering that you put out. Now, it works differently for different people because, for instance, if somebody's not very advanced and very evolved, they might have thousands of lifetimes left to work it out, right? So that karma could be spread out over, centuries even. I don't know, right? But as you start to move toward the tail end of the path of evolution on this planet and you become a disciple and you might only have just a few lifetimes left, well, you got to work through it quicker. So it's probably a little bit more dramatic and a little more painful to deal with when you do create harm like that. Or you might have to, waste a lifetime and come back and deal with what you put out, right, even, and not advance as fast as you would have had you not created that harm on somebody else. But it's the driving force of evolution, really. Jesus talked about it a lot of different ways. What you sow shall you reap. Those who live by the sword shall die by the sword. So if you kill somebody and you live like that and you live a violent life, violence is going to come back on you, I guess is what he's trying to say. But he also talked about the prodigal son returning, which Christians, I think, misinterpret it as the sinning person realizes their sins and progresses back and then asks Jesus for forgiveness and they can go to heaven, right? That's kind of what they take that parable to mean. I think Jesus was talking about the path of return through the misuse of your own free will, creating harm on other people. You have to work your way back, but it's guaranteed that eventually you will get through it and work your way and become divine as he is divine, is the way I see it. So anyway, I could be wrong, but that's just my interpretation of it. But the one thing too about karma, just to throw this out there for everyone to think about, Benjamin Creme said something one time that really opened my eyes about the whole karmic situation that people have. He said, people, especially in the United States, are very obsessed with legal justice, right? Somebody harms you, you either, go to the police and try to get them put in jail if it was a criminal act, or if it's a civil act or something like this, you sue them, right? But he said that doesn't really resolve the karmic issue. The karma lords have their own ways of presenting that karma to the person. In fact, actually, when somebody's executed for, let's say, a capital crime or murder or something like this, they don't learn their lesson maybe in that time, and they have to come back and learn it again in the next life. But here's the other thing, is that typically, not always, but typically, the victim in this lifetime was the aggressor or the harmer in the previous life. And they come together karmically, usually in family groups, or we incarnate in groups for this reason, to work off the karma that we've created with each other. And so when families come in and are incarnate in parents and so forth, and children and cousins and uncles and grandparents and wives and husbands and so forth, it's all to work out the previous karmic relationship with that person. And that's why we have those relationships with them. But if it was something severe where somebody, let's say, molested somebody, because he was giving this example of a woman who came to him in pain, really, because she lived a life where her, with the pain of her father molesting her as a young child, which is just unbelievable to think of, right? But when he asked his master about it, his master showed him what happened. And what happened is this woman in the previous life was the father who molested the father who was then the daughter. And then in the lifetime before that, the father who molested her in this life was the father then who molested her, the daughter, in that life. So it kept switching, and it switched. This was the third time that it did it. And he said, because of service, and this goes back to transmission meditation, because she was doing transmission meditation. Service is a really good way of burning off karma without having to deal with it. A very good way. But in fact, it's the best way of doing it, versus having to live through that karma that could, in this situation, be very painful or harmful in a way. You can burn off karma in that way and not realize that you're even doing it just by serving. But because she was doing this service work, and through her own inner work of forgiving the father, he was saying that his master told him that she's more than likely neutralizing it and balancing the karma enough to where she won't have to deal with this again in the next life. But if she didn't, she would have to switch the roles again. So we only see one little sliver of the issue when it comes to victims or people with serious, terminal illnesses or lifelong illnesses or things that they've been dealing with their whole life and so forth. We only see just a sliver of it because we're only seeing the one life. There's countless other lifetimes that they've been dealing with or were the cause of that. That's why Maitreya is going to teach humanity how to live within that law of cause and effect, so that you start to live harmlessly within that law. And he's going to teach individuals how to do it, groups how to do it, nations how to do it, and as a whole world how to do it. So that perhaps, centuries from now, we'll see each other, interact with each other way more harmlessly than we do now, right? So we can progress faster. And we can start to realize who we truly are as divine souls much faster, without infringing upon this person's free will and that person's free will and so forth. And it goes back to a lot of discussions I have with people on this channel who know nothing about karma, know nothing about free will and all that stuff, are quite frustrated with Maitreya because they don't know why he's not saying who he is on TV now, and it's been over 10 years since he started speaking on TV. And why wouldn't he just come out and say it? Why wouldn't he just come out and do this? Because they have no idea about the laws that he has to work within, because they don't infringe upon free will. They don't create their own karma, because it might create negative karma against him if he did do that. You see? So we are just learning in a very rudimentary way the law of cause and effect by reading the Ageless Wisdom Teachings, by reading Jesus's teachings of what you sow shall reap. This is just the beginning for us. But over time, these masters will teach us truly how to live within that law, how to understand that law, and how to not violate that law. Because we all violate that law all the time. That's why we have the lives and the world that we live in today. So I just thought you expressed it quite beautifully, and I wanted to kind of add to it. So thank you very much, everybody, for commenting. I love everyone. You guys have a great weekend. Stay safe out there, and I look forward to putting up more videos in the future. You guys take care.
Remember to
All right,
take
have a great
action
day. And help SOP save our planet. Thanks for listening, and we look forward to talking to you again in future videos.